if no one's talking and we suddenly burp and we feel the burp coming, can we press the cough button?
Just like kind of raise your hand like that and then burp and then do it. But do your best.
This is Unposit, a podcast by a family of geeks.
I'm Lady Disdain, and I'm 43 years old.
I am the sauce underscore, and I am 11.
Underscore, the data bites. Faulty one.
I'm Furious Girl, and I am 9.
Hola, amigos. Welcome to another podcast starting with me. I am the sauce. I am 11. I will rule the world and maybe destroy Jupiter. On to Mom.
Well, I'm Lady Disdain with a Y.
Why do we need to do this?
Because it's fun.
Because he did it and we're doing it.
It's okay, and he's driving. And I'm 43. I'm the oldest person in the room. I don't always act like it. And
Maybe minus the cat.
go to the person to my right. Who are you?
I am Furious Girl with a 0 instead of an O, and I am 97.
Minus the 7. She's 9.
No, I'm not.
Okay,
97.
who's after you?
9. That person.
Underscore, the data bites. What are we talking about today, Sauce?
We are talking about Dragsters.
Pretty sure that was on a prior podcast.
That's the one after next.
Okay, we are talking about Captain America, Civil War.
Wow.
Oh, and I'd like to point out that Mom doesn't act like the oldest one in the room. Dad does, even though he's not. Even though it's not.
Somebody has to be the grown-up here.
Oh, I want to be the grown-up. Ooh,
Yeah,
me.
then settle down, sit still, and I'm serious about that. You about knocked over that speaker again.
All right. What's going on? Well, you said Civil War. Are we talking about Civil War?
Maybe. Yes,
From
starting.
1860 to 1865, the American Civil War, or which Civil War?
Okay, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. Okay, we are doing movie specs first.
I was going to say this came out in 2016, May. Uh-oh. He wants to lay on somebody's...
So the cat likes, for whatever reason, to lay on paper. And
Only important paper that we always use.
we actually wanted him at one point to pick whether he thought Loki or Winter Soldier was the worst enemy or something, and he never did.
That's the only thing he never does.
That's
the
right.
only paper he never laid on we were wondering.
Anyway,
Don't
commence.
bite that outlet.
Well, I said that. We're talking about Captain America Civil War, starring
Uh-huh.
everybody.
I hope.
Directed by the Russo brothers. Came out on the 5th of May, 2016. So, we have Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Scarlett Johansson, Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, Don Cheadle, Jeremy Renner, Chadwick Boseman as introducing as the Black Panther,
Nice.
Paul Bettany as Vision, Elizabeth Olsen, Paul Rudd, Emily Van Camp as Sharon Carter, Tom Holland as Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Frank Grillo as Brock Rumlow, Crossroads, Daniel Bruhl, who's really good, as Zemo. We have Martin Freeman as Everett Ross.
Wow.
Everett K. Ross. That's a weird little thing. Alfred Woodard has a small part in this. Marissa Tomei. William Hurt coming back as Thaddeus Ross. I think there's no relation to
No relation
Ross.
there.
I should have.
That's it for all of
It's a
the
lot.
big names.
That's
But
a
that was
lot
a
of
lot.
people.
That's what we're talking about today. That's why we start with this, because now we have a reference of who is in this. Everybody. Jeremy Renner, I think, steals his lines, steals his scenes very well.
Whoever he is.
Ant-Man,
He's Hawkeye, baby.
Hawkeye.
Oh.
Yeah. All the characters really don't get overshadowed by any other character. It was very well done, a masterful ensemble performance in direction and writing.
Okay, next is superpowers. First, me. I wrote too many characters, so on to Georgia. Everything. Okay,
True.
what? Oh,
Everything.
Fair enough, but what?
Let me ask you kids a question, interview style.
No.
What were the two main special superpowers that we saw for the first time in this movie?
So is this superpowers or super suits and everything?
Yeah.
Included.
Okay, vibranium suit for Black Panther and also Black Panther powers. Basically, the super soldier of Wakanda, if you haven't seen that movie.
Well, however, though,
The Wakandan berry What's the... Oh, that's...
Well, we don't know that. That's not introduced until Black Panther the movie.
Yes, but it's still a power.
Well, we know that because we've seen
But
it.
I said introduced in this movie. That was my question.
It's a strawberry fish.
You guys nailed the two things he was getting after, right? Black
No.
Panther and Spider-Man?
The two that were introduced, because Black Panther's powers are cool, but he's basically a super soldier. And Lady Disdain over there mentioned, I wonder if... your thought about the doctor from Captain America First Avenger, did he visit and have a snippet of that flower? And that's why nobody could reproduce it, because he actually had the flower. But that's for another story. The two main superpowers that I thought that were introduced in here, because Black Panther has basically just super soldier powers, and vibranium, just in a different configuration that Captain America and Winter Soldier do.
Mm-hmm.
It's Giant Man, Ant-Man getting gigantic, and Spider-Man and his wall crawling over the windows and things.
So it was Ant-Man, then it was Scott Lang, then it was Cyclops.
And I gotta say, the facial expression of Scott Lang or Paul Rudd when he becomes big and he's like, and his eyes are all big, and it was really funny.
That was the question I was looking for. The Black Panther is definitely a new character.
I hope.
I don't think he's a new superpower. He's a refinement and a ongoing part of the Captain America super soldier level of superpower.
T'Challa is the superpower? He basically just said that he was super.
Well, he's a new guy in here, and he obviously can run as
But
fast.
then you said he's not a new superpower.
Right.
Not for Daddy, he isn't, but that's his opinion. And Willis,
we also have a lot of super strength. So, like Hulk has super strength,
No,
right?
but he is not a superpower. Who wants to be next?
me, because I think both those two went
Okay, go.
extensively.
Go, Bill, go.
I didn't write down Ant-Man's thing. I didn't.
Oh, no.
I probably could have. I didn't even write down Spider-Man. But I think honestly, I got distracted. I was just like, I'm writing everything else down. I did just write down Black Panther. And I wrote down earlier, before we get into the whole seeing how he's involved. You know, when you see him, like, the bomb goes off and he dives for his dad and you know, he's like, I'm going to do things. I'm like, is he super yet? And then I kind of retract that, because then as you see him carry on with the scenes, the battle scenes and the chases, I'm like, he's super. Yeah, that guy went home and got his pedal thing on. So, yeah.
Well, I remember watching it in the theater, watching it for the first time before Black Panther came out, wondering, does the suit give him the power, or does he have the power? We were wondering this. We had this thing. It was like, we came to the conclusion that he had the power, but the suit enhances it.
But then if you see him and he fights Bucky, he fights Winter Soldier without his suit, and he's full on. You're
and he's full on, but he wasn't able to overcome him. So that's why we were saying he has the power, but the suit enhances it.
Right.
I would have to say that the suit and his major protection, so doesn't slow down as much when he's hit. So I think that's why the suit.
And it's bulletproof.
Well, it's vibranium, so
That's right.
Totally.
And can we? Well, that'll be a battle scene. Never mind. Proceed with whatever you're going to do next, Mr. Driver Man.
Weaknesses and vulnerabilities. I also wrote too many characters, so who wants to go next?
Well, I think Lady Disdain has something to say.
I wrote down, which I've written down for weaknesses and vulnerabilities on prior ones. Bucky. It's proven right in the first battle scene with Rumlow or Crossbones. Cap gets totally thrown off. As soon as Rumlow says the word Bucky, he's totally distracted. He's riveted. He's like, what are you going to say? And meanwhile, Rumlow is getting an explosive ready and almost kills Cap. And then it leads to that big explosion that, Wanda or Scarlet Witch tries to move around. So, again, Bucky, and throughout, Bucky is maybe not a weakness so much, but he's a priority point, I would say, a prioritization for Cap, and kind of drives his whole direction in this movie.
Yeah, I would agree with that assessment as far as weakness.
Dad, next. Don't just stop staring at the TV.
And it's just a little bit of Captain America Civil War screensaver stuff. I would echo that sentiment. Says Bucky, it stops him. We have weaknesses to all of them. That's one thing I think none of these superhuman people are really invulnerable.
Loss being a pretty constant theme throughout this movie, but they're all vulnerable to loss. Tony is reliving his loss of his parents, but then he's also just lost Pepper. Like, isn't broken up with her.
Yeah, well, took a break.
They're on a break.
Spider-Man Homecoming kind of
but
resolved that.
they were on a break, and so he's lost her. Cap feels like he's lost Bucky. He also loses Peggy Carter. So there's loss there that is also driving, so both of them are being very influenced, I think, by what the loss they're feeling in the moment. And
right. For the main characters, too. Well, we have Captain America losing, Tony Stark. Those are the two main characters. That's the Civil War. The ancillary characters have a little bit, too, because Hawkeye doesn't lose anything.
Right.
He not gave up his family, but he chose duty over, finishing his kitchen with his family.
Right. Going water skiing.
Hold on. Scarlet Witch lost her brother, but that was a previous movie.
Right.
Vision didn't lose anything, but he's not human. He doesn't understand it.
Zemo lost his...
That's the other thing, too. The main antagonist suffered the same loss, but also T'Challa did, the Black Panther did. We see that. That's the freshest loss, right, is T'Chaka. So we see how it comes to fruition at the end of the movie with Chadwick Boseman and his performance there. I think his best performance was at the very end. And he says to Zemo, "Revenge has consumed you. I'm no longer going to let it consume me." And we revenge, and it's consuming them. It's because Cap wasn't going to lose his friend again. Couldn't stand to lose his friend again. And Tony just lost his mind when he found out that's how his mom died. So I think Furious Girl has a point.
I think I stole it from her, though. Are you good? Does that cover weaknesses and stuff, or?
But seriously, Bucky has this part of his brain that science is him, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, kill everyone."
There's the elephant in the room, the weakness.
And then
the 11 words or whatever it was, and one of them was Homecoming, for Spider-Man Homecoming.
Okay, wait. Homecoming, one, great car. Wait, yeah.
Those are the last ones.
So what we need to do is come up with 11 words to say in a row that makes you instantly comply with, like, doing the dishes.
Well, yeah, that's what we need.
Wait,
I can't believe we haven't been talking about that one. That's like a big, huge weakness. It's like a huge plot point and everything.
Okay, Bob.
Okay, Willis.
I'm going to control you.
Yeah, I'm not feeling very controlled right now.
All right, what are we going on now, buddy?
Okay, I'd say villains. I only wrote Zemo. We know Hydra is
villains.
A villain. Yeah, we know Hydra is a villain, but that's in almost every movie. So I just wrote Zemo.
Which I think lends credence to the gravity of the Red Skull from the Captain America First Adventure.
Wait,
credence, meaning
credibility.
Yeah, how weight to it. Oh, we have this villain problem in the MCU. It's like, oh, it was solved with Killmonger. I'm like, wasn't really solved. It wasn't really a problem because we have. He actually says it. Hugo Weaving says it in the movie. I think the Red Skull was a great villain. Was as strong as the main character because he had the same thing. The serum wasn't ready, but he also says, "Cut up one head, two more will rise," and it set up the MCU and it set up Hydra in S.H.I.E.L.D. He was cut off, and Hydra went underground and became even more pervasive than it ever was.
I thought it was interesting. I feel like they set up, and again. Everybody, it seemed like in this movie, a lot of the main characters and even some of the just blips on the radar were dealing with loss. The woman that Stark runs into in the basement after he gives that presentation, give that presentation at MIT. She's lost something, and the extent she takes it is that she confronts him, gives him her son's picture, and says, "I blame you for this," and moves. So then, obviously that impacts him a ton. Then you've got Zemo, who totally takes it way farther. He's lost people, and he's like, I am going to wreck you guys, and goes to whatever lengths he has to do, killing all kinds of people to make sure that the Avengers suffer. And so I just thought those were two interesting paths where she set her... she's going to live with her grief and blame. And who knows, maybe eventually she's like, no, I wanted to blame them, but, whatever, but Zemo just went the other way with that, and I thought he kind of reminded me of a pitiable villain, because I always have found Bucky, Winter Soldier, to be like, oh my gosh, look what you're going through. Well, look what Zemo went through. You're like, dude.
About Black Panther, which is the last one to come out we've seen, and we have a podcast about, and how Killmonger, he's enviable, and he has a backstory. And Zemo's not enviable. His backstory was Avengers Age of Ultron, somewhat. We keep hearing him listen to his family over and over and over again. We see the extent he goes to. can understand. It's like, oh, I gotta get rid of these super people because they're just killing everybody out of revenge. Like, you can't understand that if you have a family.
Right.
So he's super...
You totally empathize.
Empathizing. Yeah, you don't want to... You're not on his... I don't think you're ever on his side. I was never on Killmonger's side either, like in any way.
The cat is now sitting
on your notes.
on my notes.
Why are your notes on the floor?
Well, because I don't want to put them on the laptop. They're right there where I can see
Don't
them.
do it again,
Now we have things.
Oh, no, you don't.
Okay, can I raise another villain?
Okay.
The
Ross.
United Nations.
Yep.
I was going to see if we said it at the same time.
No, I didn't say Ross. Although
said
he
Ross.
kind of is the personification of the UN to me.
Yeah.
But because he's the Secretary of State. But he, United Nations. And I mean, I just had to, as adults, you kids might not get this. You will, unfortunately, in the future. But whenever they're like, oh, the UN will tell you when to go places and when, I'm like, oh, okay, sure they will. And it's just such a terrible straw person to put up in charge of the strongest force on the planet. Yeah, we'll tell you when to go some places and do good things. No,
So we have the Sokovia Accords in this, kind of as the plot point MacGuffin thing that doesn't change, right? But it was spearheaded by the Wakandan government because there was a Wakandan delegation that was killed in that building that exploded in the opening battle with Crossbones. But then you come to find out that they're a super technologically advanced society that's all... It does... Watching this and then watching Black Panther directly, or having watched that Black Panther, it leads a little bit more credence to the conflict that T'Challa had with T'Chaka. Mm-hmm. But I would say that Ross, being the personification of the UN, is a villain. And he's always been a villain in the Hulk lore, whatever. Always wants him. But he sees himself now, he's got this duty, and he sees that he can control them. He wants to be controlling. He wants to have them for him. Mm-hmm. And then when he's given this evidence, he's like, I'm not going to even believe you. He's so obtuse. And he's even more so than Tony, because when Black Widow and Romanoff was talking to Tony and said, you can't put your ego aside for 1 minute, Ross is even more so, but he's also a smaller man, if you will.
Yeah. Do you guys remember in Hulk, when you have that guy Ross, and he was like, oh, I'll just juice up what's-his-face and make him... powerful. I need a super soldier. And he wanted to capture Hulk and use him and stuff, and weaponize him and stuff like this. And then it feels like, do you remember in the movie Today where he talked about, in Civil War, where he says, well, I had a heart attack and I gained perspective. Now it feels like he just kind of went the other way where he's like, no, we can't have any super people at all. We need to police them and not. So it feels like he just flipped the coin and went the total other way, but again, in a harmful way. But it's like, yes, but you're still not solving it. You're still part of the problem here. So I agree, he's a villain.
He's definitely a villain, in my opinion. And then Everett Ross was like, is he a villain or he's not a villain? Is he incompetent? What's going on? I think this was just a small introduction for his role in Black Panther. So I was thinking about putting him down, but those are the two villains that I had.
Any other villains?
The other super soldiers minus Bucky.
Yeah, good job. They were scary.
The Hydra Elite Team, whatever it was called.
Yeah. And then there's Stark and his... they were the best Hydra operatives before they got serum. And
and they were and they got the serum, so they were Winter Soldiers. But I think finally said it. She's Team Cap.
Yeah,
me too. Well, okay, are we all Team Cap?
You bring up a great question, Jordan. So some people who watch this movie might be Team Stark, Team Iron Man.
Yeah, and they would be wrong. But
so that's unposit. So say we all.
If you're Team Cap, you're gonna say. I didn't want to come out and say it, but if you're Team Cap, you're gonna say
Team Cap.
Black Panther, Iron Man, Vision, Spider-Man, War Machine are the enemies. Mm-hmm. If you're Team Stark, you're gonna say Captain America,
right?
Ant-Man,
right?
Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye. They're the enemies. That's why it's called Civil War.
I know.
They're really an enemy.
So Georgia,
double agent, totally.
What? So who's on whose team? Georgia, you're on team. Team Cap.
Okay. You are on Team Stark.
She's totally Team.
I'm Team Cap.
Yeah. You are on.
Oh, totally Team Cap.
I'm totally Team Cap too. Cat is probably like on the...
He's Team Paper.
He's on the team, I'm on the notes.
Yeah, Team Notes.
Wait, no, you know what he is? He's probably like so absent-minded, like, I'm Team Palpatine.
He's not. I bet he's Team Black Panther because Caps.
Yay.
So, Unpause Crew has decided we are all Team Cap for Civil War. I think
All besides minus Bill because T'Challa, the Black Panther, is on the wrong team.
it's a great movie because I think they all bring up some really, some valid points about why they are on the sides they are. Rhodey is one I'm just like, I get you, man, but I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree with you.
Battle and fight scenes. I didn't write too many.
I did. Let me move the cat and find out what they are.
Okay, so I had the beginning, which was in, started with an L.
Lagos.
Lagos.
Which is in Africa.
Yeah. Near Wakanda.
Apparently.
Mm-hmm. There was Wakanda in it. And that was cool. Then, where they introduced Panther, the chase, basically.
That was in Bucharest.
Bucharest. In the compound or where Bucky turns evil and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Berlin. That was Berlin.
Yeah, Berlin. And, of course, the main one that you see in the trailer, Avengers versus Avengers, Team Captain America. If you're on Team Stark, stop watching this podcast.
No, you can listen. Just be angry about it. It's
And
okay.
maybe subscribe and like it.
Or write in and tell us why we're wrong. Totally okay with that. Maybe we'll read your letter.
Yeah, maybe not.
On the air.
Yeah, I probably will.
Who's okay, cool.
I don't remember any others. Oh, yeah, the last one.
Furious Girl has one. Let's see it. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Finally, it's all that Willis just said, and the one where all the other Winter Soldiers are fighting Bucky.
Siberia.
Oh, yeah,
That's the flashback where we see...
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's not too much of a fight scene since it's so short.
It's a fight scene.
Yeah, it's a fight scene,
Yeah.
but not too much of it. And also in Siberia, there was Stark versus Captain and Bucky. See, Stark only stood kind of a chance because Stark only stood kind of a chance because he's still influenced, like, oh, blah, 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 blah.
All the things you said, I didn't write down any additional ones. I think it was poignant that there were so many battles in a movie called Civil War. It was very on point. So, yeah, a lot of battles. That's all I had.
Moving on to Dad.
I am going last because
I am the director.
are we talking about the most intense battle, which is when, right after Ross's visit, they're sitting around the conference table, and they talk about it afterwards. That's when they split. And it wasn't really fighting battle, it was a verbal battle.
It was the worst battle of Bucky.
Well, that's the stage
Sets
for
the
them
tone
to
for the whole
split.
movie there. The guy put that as a major battle, because that was a battle of ideas, a battle of ideology, of what you believe and what you're going to stand for.
Yeah.
A battle of sadness.
It was sad. The ending was sad. Of that battle.
Can I say, too, I felt it before we watched this, like, especially after seeing Age of Ultron, and then I felt it as we watched this. You never really get any kind of... Stark pretty much is putting Wanda, Scarlet Witch, on lockdown in his compound. And this is the same guy who, his machinery was responsible for her and her brother fearing for their life. They were scared to death of him. They hated him in the last movie. Her brother died after joining and stuff. I just feel like I would have liked to have seen something more between Wanda and Stark at some point to say, was there ever any real closure with that? Because I did. There were a couple of moments in here where he's like, oh, see this kid, we killed him in Sokovia. I'm like, yeah, and you're sitting across the room from someone from Sokovia that you killed their parent. So
And you almost killed them.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that was a little like, I find your focus a little disturbing right now. So,
I mean, it was only one
like a missile.
yard
Yeah,
away from Quicksilver's face. It was a disarmed bomb.
exactly.
It was about to blow up, but it was disarmed.
Yeah, so I would have liked, and I know they ran out of time, and I get it, but even in the deleted scenes, I would have really liked there to have been some kind of interaction between where she's like, hey, just something. because seeing this whole movie in the context of that, where it's like this is the guy that you were hell bent on destroying a movie ago, and now we're like, oh, I'm living in his compound. He can totally tell me not to go anywhere. It's totally cool.
Alright, so moving on to Stanley cameo. I thought it was one of the few comedy things in here, but it was very low comedy, so I gave it a really, really sad, kind of poorly drawn funny face.
So,
Stanley,
smiley face.
do you guys remember what the cameo was? Georgia, what was it?
It was a delivery person delivering the package from Mr. Captain America
I think I know the movie.
to
Tony Stank, and
Tony Stank.
and Rhodey said,
I'd never get a table for two. Tony Stank.
that was really
Right
funny.
next to the bathroom. Okay, so,
We know what you rated it.
yeah, so go dead.
I rated it pretty high. It was definitely a good version. And it's one of those ones where in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, we get another cameo from Mr. Stan Lee. And he mentions this one. I was even a FedEx delivery guy
Yeah.
in that one. So it was one of those that you mentioned. I thought it was really good. And it led into some more humor. The humor that was lacking in this movie, there was a couple of times where during that intense verbal battle that I was talking about, and Iron Man's like, are you agreeing with me? And Romanoff is like, oh, take it back now. And then Renner's like, oh, I knew I should have stretched. There was a couple of little things right there. Ant-Man not over-shaking Captain America's hand. But it was definitely much more low-key and much more an intense movie.
Okay, so, before we add anything else, why are you always mistaking Natasha Romanoff for Scarlet Witch?
Because it's late, I'm tired.
Fair enough. Georgia, go.
I give it a 10 out of 10, also known as Happy Face Crying because I'm so laughing a lot. Out of Happy Face Crying because I'm not.
Okay.
What? Okay, go. Mom.
I give it an 8 out of 10. It was good, solid, good moment of funniness, and yeah, and it added levity to a good moment where Rhodey was talking about he was so serious, he's going to be paralyzed now and all that stuff, and then it was like, ha! So good, good moment.
I'm glad I rated it really poorly from face.
What's next?
Favorite theme. Me go first.
Okay.
I have no favorite themes or lines or anything like that. Because I didn't find any good ones that I really liked.
Okay.
Wow, I think we're going to fill the gaps in
I think
for you a
you need
little.
to take a little bit better notes. We have Furious Girl here dying to prove you wrong. Go ahead,
Okay, go.
Yay! Okay, so my favorite character was Bucky. My favorite scenes are Ant-Man was Red.
So Ant-Man, when he becomes Giant Man and his eyes get all huge, he's like,
Oh, I was like that.
That was real.
And,
All right.
and as he's doing that, I silently go, ho, 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 with my hands on my stomach.
Jolly Green Giant, huh?
Yep.
Jolly Green Giant.
And I also like during the actual civil war between Avengers happens, and like in Spider-Man are just really weird. Like Spider-Man just goes like talks a lot, and Lang is just like, here you are, gentlemen.
What else? What are their favorite things?
Nothing.
Nothing else?
That's fine.
Who's next, dude?
Dad.
I liked the walls comment when Vision walks to the wall. Vision, we've talked about this. But the door was open. I thought it'd be okay. Walking through the walls. That led to a great joke in Spider-Man Homecoming. Like, if you next to the Vision, he kind of doesn't respect the privacy. It was very funny, and it led into other jokes in other movies. So I was like, that's pretty good. Every time Zemo was going mission report, December 16th, 1991.
Mm-hmm.
And it led up to the end. You're like, that's what happened in December 16th. And it kept going, and you're just like, It was just, he just kept focus on it. It was so good. The funeral speech, that was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Favorite scene with the funeral and Sharon Carter coming up and kind of solidifying Cap's view of things. The paprikash.
Oh, yeah.
Spirits lifted, but this is not paprika. Spiderling comment when Stark was meeting Peter Parker for the first time.
Yeah.
Spiderling, Spider-Boy, Spider. And he's all like self-conscious about it. Those are some of my favorite scenes. Can you move your seat up? another funny one.
Oh,
You know,
that
and the guy's like, no. And then at the end of the battle, like, you couldn't have done that earlier? He's like, I hate you. Like, they're little...
They're so
yeah, I
good.
think they would be good friends if they were in the same time era.
Right.
Like Bucky is like 96 years old.
I've got 3 more. So, Spider-Man catching Bucky's arm. Like, whoa! Like catching a Nerf ball.
And Bucky was like, what the heck?
Yeah, this kid's like, this whole time, oh, you got a metal arm, that's so cool. He's like, just like, oh, this is so cool. He's just like, cool. At the end, very end scene between Cap and Bucky and Iron Man, and Iron Man's like, stay down. You'd never tell Cap to stay down.
Nope.
Oh,
This is the 3rd movie, Captain America 3, basically, and every single one he's been told to stay down. He gets up, he's like, I could do this all day.
That's
So
right.
you never tell Cap to stay down.
Yeah, you never tell Cap to stay down.
Because he has him on the ropes.
And see, here's the thing about it. After we've seen enough things where Captain America stay down and he wins every time, you'll know that if he says stay down, that he's not going to stay down and he's not going to lose.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to read this from the trivia for Captain America Civil War. This is the last one of my favorite scenes. And we all go, oh, every time we see it. At around 1 hour and 9 minutes, Chris Evans injured his arm muscles while filming the iconic shot of Captain America holding back a helicopter with his hands. Evans said, quote, that shot is a little bit of bicep porn. Zoom in on the biceps. That's what the script said. Kevin Feige didn't airbrush my biceps. That's me. It's not a utilitarian shot. It's a shot where you're trying to look heroic. That position of holding a helicopter with one hand and the ledge with another is actually a very unnatural position to use to stop something, but we used it because I have to flex my bicep. You're trying to make a scene look great. And I generally messed up my arm doing that shot because of the strain.
Imagine.
Unquote. Robert Downey Jr. joked that the filmmakers didn't mind that Evans hurt himself because of how great the shot turned out, and that they have been using it to promote the film ever since. Anthony Russo revealed that the iconic shot almost did not happen because on the day of filming there was a miscommunication with the costume department, and Evans came in wearing a thick jacket. They immediately sent him back to change because they wouldn't have been able to film the shot of his muscles bulging as intended in the script.
I'm going to go now. Are you done reading your trivia over there? You want to?
I'm done. I said I was done.
So I wrote down cap and helicopter because, yes, anonymous ball caps. So we pointed this out in prayer movies, but apparently if you want to lay low and nobody recognizes you, even if you're a super famous superhero, all you need is a solid colored ball cap and some aviator glasses.
Did it Winter Soldier?
Wanda had one on in the very first scene. She had a ball cap on. Cap and Falcon have one on in the bar.
And so does the car.
Can we come up with any other times in other movies? Because it happened in Captain America Winter Soldier when he was in the museum watching...
Bucky did it at the end of the same movie,
Bucky did it at the end again.
That's pretty much it.
Didn't Iron Man 3...
Tony
did it when he was at the hardware store.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any other ones we could think of where they were doing it? Oh, in Age of Ultron, was it a ball cap or was it a hoodie that Thor was wearing?
Thor wears hoodies.
Yeah, so that's why he was recognized. He was wearing a ball cap. You actually said it during watching it. Like, if he was wearing a ball cap, he would have been totally in disguise.
What about, I want it, maybe it's just a hoodie too, but let's almost go look back. Does Bruce in the Incredible Hulk movie, the first one, does he wear a ball cap?
He totally has a hat when he's, Edward Norton plays it.
I wonder who decided to make that a thing. Anyway, we actually discussed this might be something we do for Comic-Con. I love the intro to Spider-Man, the whole scene with him where, Tony's like, because you won the grant. And he just looks at him like, pick up the pace, buddy. We're trying to tell a lie to your aunt right now. I love, and in that intro, I love where Peter, Tony asks Peter, why are you doing this? Why are you being your Spider-Man guy? And he says, when you're able to do the things I can do and you let bad things happen, they happen because of you.
Right.
And so I loved how that tied back into the Sokovia Accord and the whole, Tony being so hit by his loss that he's like, oh, we can't do this anymore. But it's like, yes, but you're letting bad things happen now. Love the bros of the car when Sharon and Cap kiss finally. And they're just like...
That's the kid's absolutely favorite scene.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh,
and Cap totally... I love it. He just kind of looks over. He's like... Because he knew they were watching. He's like, hey, and they're just like... I love, again, the battle scene, particularly in the Civil War scene at the airport, but love all the ones with Spidey and Falcon and Winter Soldier, Bucky. I love how they just are like, what? Who is this kid? And the last favorite scene, or favorite line I had, is where Tony is trying to, basically, he's ready to kill Bucky. And he's got him from behind. He's like, did you even remember them? And Bucky said, I remember all of them. And you're just like, oh, he remembers everybody that he killed, even though he had no power to stop it. So those are my favorite characters. Oh, and favorite character, I am going to go with Bucky. I think he's an intriguing character, and I just like watching that evolve.
So I never said favorite character. I would say Cap. Yeah. Team Cap, favorite character, because...
My favorite character is Cap as well.
Yeah.
There you go. And
nice.
You and I had the same favorite character, Georgia, and the boys had the same favorite.
Why is it your favorite character, Will?
He's freaking Captain America.
Well, good point.
Do I need any more?
Well, I'm gonna expound on that a little bit. He had a struggle. He wanted to do the right thing, and he was proposed with something that he absolutely felt was the wrong thing. I think the Sokovia Accord was the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
He was considering signing. He was considering compromising and needed focus. And then was going to just do whatever he needed to do regardless of the consequence. That's his character throughout the whole thing. He put the wing down into the iceberg. He was going to fight the Red Skull. He was fighting Bucky in Winter Soldier until he finishes his thing, and he's like, I'll just stay here, man. We're good.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to finish the job.
Yep.
So that's why I like that.
All right, Wheel, what's next? Buddy?
I would have to say mid/end credit scene. First, that would be the mid credit scene. That was
Bucky and Wakanda.
Saying, until they can heal my brain, it's better that I just stay on ice. And then you see that they're doing that. Cap's there with T'Challa looking out over Wakanda.
Yeah, and you know what I find intriguing?
What?
He trusted Bucky, which he recently tried to kill, but then I certainly killed him. And Captain America, he trusted him with the secret of Wakanda. So, like, one of the biggest secrets in the nation.
In the world.
The world nation.
But yeah, it goes to show you, and he says it, you know, both he and my father were victims of the same man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I can help one of them, then...
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Shows that he's a good guy. That's what they're trying to show, really. He's a good guy, and that the Wakandans were technologically advanced. Like, Stark's suit and everything could not detect T'Challa's jet.
Yeah.
Totally stealth.
That's true. Good point.
You know?
Remember that? Where T'Challa's following Iron Man out of his chopper?
Oh, and something we haven't said, spoiler alert. In Black Panther, it's like, if everybody thinks they're a third world country, really poor and stuff, but guess what? They're the most highly advanced civilization in the world.
And they have the most money in the world.
Well,
Pretty much.
well, vibranium does.
Because it's the most valuable metal, and they have a whole mountain.
Yeah, they've been
they
mining it.
are.
Like, I'm quoting from Claw, and he's not wrong. They've been mining it for thousands of years,
That's right.
and they still haven't gotten it all.
So the end credit scene, though.
Well, do you want to rank? What are
Are we going to rate it or all?
we rating the mid-credit scene, the Bucky scene?
So Bucky scene, I rated it 9 out of 10. Jordan?
Mine is 10 out of 10 and it's 8 out of 10.
Okay, Dad, what is your?
10. I give it a 10.
Okay.
I liked it a lot.
Also gave it a 10. It did all the things I would want a mid-credit scene to do.
And it led right into the very, very end White Wolf scene in Black Panther.
Yeah.
So it ties, it's that thread that ties everything together.
Yep.
What about you?
9 out of 10.
Oh, you said it.
And the second one, what was the second one again?
End credit is Spider-Man. Remember?
Spider-Man,
Oh, yeah.
and he's got the thing on, it has the Spider-Man thing on the ceiling, and it says Spider-Man will return. That's the end credit.
They should have said Black Panther will return.
Should have, totally.
But they were, I think they were also saying, well, that's not all you're going to see is Spider-Man. Then he got his own movie. Yay.
Well, that's a big deal because, you know, Sony still owns Spider-Man. Lawyers got involved and people, too much money involved. Anyway,
So what do we rate that one?
I rated it 7.5.
I'd probably give it a 7. It was like it was just,
Yeah, I gave it a 6.
yeah.
What about you? Do you give it an 8 out of 10, I think? 8.7 out of 10.
See, I'm glad Spider-Man was in this one, because it did cause a little more humor.
Yeah, his were the funniest scenes, and what was your rating for the last one?
Last, I think I said 6 out of 10.
6, yeah. I think it would have been a lot better if it would have been just like him sitting there, and Aunt May's not in it, and he just like sits and it just like goes instantly, he's just like, whoa, cool, like that. Something like that. not the whole, he had a big bruised eye, and it's like, who was it? It was Steve. You don't know him. It was from Brooklyn. His friend was gigantic.
Like a huge friend, huge.
I'm like, they fell flat to me.
I did find it interesting too. Do you guys remember when Tony's talking to Peter Parker and it's like, I can't go to Germany, I have homework. He's like, I'm going to pretend you didn't say that. He's kind of encouraging him, saying, no, you just come and do this. Whereas in the next movie, he's like, no, stay home and do your homework and focus and graduate. So,
as far as in Spider-Man Homecoming, which we'll talk about, he says, I want to make sure we talk about this during the Spider-Man thing. I took on Captain America. And Tony's like, if he wanted to, he would have taken you out. And it's like, he totally could tell that he was taking him out. I mean, Cap stops holding back at the end, fighting Tony, and Tony couldn't win in his suit against just a dude.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's not just a dude.
Well, no, but he didn't have a special suit.
Okay, I want to point out that Captain America, I think I heard this in this podcast, we haven't seen his whole strength. He's literally one of the most strongest. See, I think Wanda is the most strongest. Vision.
Most powerful, maybe.
Yeah, Vision. Captain America.
Is right there, huh?
And Black Panther and Ant-Man aren't Avengers yet.
What about Hulk and Thor,
Hulk and Thor,
they're Ragnarok.
Yeah, well, Hulk is in a class of his own, and Thor, I'd say Thor is kind of, I say Thor, since Ragnarok, is kind of with, okay.
All right. So as we're about to enter spring break, you go ahead and answer that next question before the reading. What's the next one, Willis?
Half-hour screen talk.
Oh,
that's what I was talking about.
It's 100 days screen.
Okay, so
We're not getting more than an hour in a row of screen time any day off this week. Screen time will affect your eyes, and it hurts you. It hurts your development.
But what are you planning?
Half-hour screen, I'm planning Minecraft, Overwatch, and Zelda. Maybe something else.
But you?
I'm planning on Minecraft Realms, Zelda, and maybe a little bit of Lego World.
Oh, there you go. I've played that for a while.
Nice.
And then...
She's close.
She's tired.
All right. What's your unit of measure? What'd you decide?
Okay. Now, I'm ignoring what I wrote down. 6.5 out of 10 frickin' missiles. I don't understand, but I know I rated it badly. There are 200 million missiles in here. 200 million, 0.1, more than the last.
Cap shoots a lot of missiles. Zemo shoots a lot of missiles.
It would take 100 missiles.
Crossbones shoots a lot of missiles.
There are a lot of explosions. Let's just say that, yeah.
Explosions, missiles.
So
that was an arrow missile from Hawkeye.
Yeah, okay.
It is a missile.
It's a freaking missile.
How did you rate it? A 6.5?
6.5. Well, I'm ignoring that 8. 6.5.
You gave it a 6.5 out of 10?
I don't like it.
Hey.
It's not that good.
All right.
Now,
some of the fighting scenes are
can you give me a Y? Just a real small Y.
I rated it high. If it ain't got no humor.
Doesn't like it because it's not so fun. It's darker.
I think that's legit.
Kids won't go back to see it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. This definitely varied more into the adult action film versus having some kid stuff.
True. And then we wonder if this is going to be the same tones, the same directors, same cast, has half of the same cast for Infinity.
Go to the
8.4 out of 10. Freaking missiles.
8.4.
Okay, Mom.
I give it a 9 out of 10 freaking missiles.
Dad.
A solid 8, leaning towards the 7.9, but 8.
What? 7.99.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with it.
7.99.
I like it. I like it a lot. I don't like it as much as Winter Soldier. I don't like it as much as Ragnarok. The humor in Ragnarok. It gets a little long.
Well, just wait for Infinity War then.
Right, and Infinity War is longer. Hopefully, Infinity War
is better and
blows your mind a little bit more. But that being said, I love this movie. I don't hate this movie, and I would watch it again. It's just I can't because I have things to do.
Okay, before we dismiss you guys, can I ask you one question?
One question.
Out of the superheroes in this movie, which one do you think has the greatest chance of hurting Thanos? Surprising him, overcoming his power, putting something out there that Thanos can't exactly fight.
Well, we saw in the trailer that Captain America already surprised him, but my number 2 is Scarlet Witch, because she might be able to fly away.
Yeah, what's the maximum number we can have?
Just pick one. You gotta pick one.
Scarlet Witch.
Really?
Yeah, because she can just make him fly away.
If she can overpower the Infinity Stone, like disable it and like control the person who's using it,
All right.
then she could probably like.
I'm gonna say Ant-Man because I am wondering if some way they are able to get into the quantum realm and control that. If they can take down Thanos.
Yeah, if he gets, and that's why. Now look at this. Let's talk about Infinity War real quick because we're gonna talk about Infinity War for every podcast until it comes out because these last podcasts are all Infinity War. So they're talking about quantum realm. The movie directly after Infinity War for the Marvel series is
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Right.
Huh?
And he's still on a run. That's the movie right after Infinity War.
Oh,
So does that movie take place before Infinity War? Or is he Infinity War, the sequel, Avengers 4? Because then they're talking about the quantum realm. He obviously goes into the quantum realm because Janet Van Dyne
Hope's
is
mom
in
comes
this
back.
movie,
Yep.
played by Michelle Pfeiffer. And so, yeah, the quantum realm, that's a good one. But also, the opposite of that, when he becomes giant, man, when he becomes big and just like is able to actually go toe-to-toe with him in strength.
Who do you think could have the one guy in here or person would have a chance?
The quantum realm one is a really good one.
Thank you.
Like, gets into the quantum realm and, like, just goes into the Infinity Stone and then, like, implodes an Infinity Stone.
Well, there's singularities, and he's like, if you're talking all that.
I'd like to point out.
I think it is Scarlet Witch. I'm with the sauce here.
And Furious Girl.
Right. And Furious Girl going just like that whole thing where maybe she sees someone like Vision gets hurt and then the same thing happens like with her brother in Voltron. And she just goes nuts on it. And is able to like levitate him out of the world or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's how they end the movie or something. We don't know. It's going to be amazingly good. I do love this movie. Just not as good as Winter Soldier, in my opinion.
What are you going to ask?
Scarlet Witch could probably control the Infinity Stones eventually if she trains. No, but probably.
She is young. That's the thing.
Yeah.
She's young.
Not, yeah.
So.
And can we go play Minecraft?
Yep.
Follow Unposit on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube, or visit us online at unposit.com.